Welcome to the Hemp Del Sol podcast. All health, no high. Here's your host, Marilisa Lawless.
Hello, everyone. Friends, family, great universe. We are back for another episode of the Hemp Del Sol podcast. And we've spoken about this before. We've talked about crystals because, Marilisa, you also own Crystals Del Sol as well as Hemp Del Sol.
Yeah, it's actually one business. We just had to separate it out because of all the flack we were getting about CBD.
Ah, yes, the CBD flack.
Yes.
We've spoken about small crystals, but today you're going to enlighten everyone about specimen pieces, the larger pieces that you see so lovely decorating your background there. So with that being said, why don't you talk a little bit about those beautiful pieces behind you, and we will go from there.
Sure. So good morning. Good. Well, I guess it could be any time by the time somebody listens to this.
Very true. Very true.
Yes. I've been very interested in crystals for many years. I've always had crystals in my house and things like that. And we've had the little crystals here for years and years. Never really made a big deal about it. And what I have found is that as we made the official store, the CBD store, and back in 2018, I added the crystals to be part of the store because it's all about natural healing. We know that there is science that shows that crystals put off energy like everything else. Everything's got some level of energy attached to it.
Yep.
And we do things like put crystals in the full moon, and there's so many different things that we do, but it would be really challenging to do with these pieces. So these pieces behind me, I've got 3, 4, I got a few behind me. And they are called specimen pieces because they're one of a kind, they're large, they're unique, and they could weigh anywhere from 10 to, you name it, thousands of pounds. And then you need special bars and supports and things so your floor doesn't collapse. In Florida, most of our floors are concrete, so it's not too big a deal. One of the things that I have found is that there are people that like to have just a piece in their home or two. They're not really into all the little ones, the little tchotchkes that need to be dusted and cleaned all the time and moved around. But they like these just one-of-a-kind pieces. And in reality, all crystals are one of a kind. There's no two, just like we humans, there's no two exactly the same. So the piece that I have here behind me, I really, really liked when I saw it because the points, which is the crystal itself and how it comes to an edge and makes that, prismy looking thing, are really large. And they make the stand specifically for each of these crystals. So there's no stand that's already made that you can just plop one of these into. So the stands are specifically made even.
Well, back up a second. That big one behind you, that big, kind of looks like the purple amethyst that I have on my necklace.
These are both amethyst. This one is amethyst, okay. And this is amethyst. This amethyst back here weighs about 40 pounds, and it is called an amethyst cave.
Amethyst cave.
A cave because it's one of those ones that you see that's like half a geode.
Okay.
So it's that. It's what's inside.
You have to remind me again about the amethyst though, because you've told this to me before because I wear one around my neck. What are tell for our listeners, what are some of the properties of the amethyst? What benefits do they have? What does it bring?
Amethyst overall is a spiritual healer.
Okay. And
when you look at different cultures, they'll say it's attached to the third eye, how our intuition, the way that we see the world, how do we move forward in the world? So it's really connected to spirituality. And it's actually the most common crystal outside of rose quartz. I don't have a rose quartz specimen piece. I've got an order coming. So I'll pop them in at some point in the near future. But amethyst is just considered an overall healer. It's the divine. It's connected to our spiritual centers. And some will say it's connected to this part of our head. So this is what they call the third eye. And it is just about how do we create a sense of calm in our life. Most people that have specimen pieces, these one-of-a-kind pieces, it is amethyst. So that is what most people are drawn to. And I think that many people are looking for spiritual connections without going to a religious side, without connecting to, like, creating some sense of spirituality that has to do with what it is that's going on in their lives. So I had somebody come in and I had a big tree, an amethyst tree that was in an amethyst base with a big tree. And I had someone come in, a woman in Yendi, she came in and her and her daughter purchased that for their home. And they were actually looking for a cave. But when they saw the tree, they were like, oh, we really like that. So everyone has a specific attraction and what they're interested in. So the amethyst is like the most common, most popular.
That's the granddaddy, the mother crystal. So what's the other one behind you? There's an amber looking one right in the middle.
That one right there is called citrine.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Now, citrine, Citrine.
Okay.
Citrine also, that's actually my sister Melinda's favorite crystal. And it is truly connected to healing the inner child. We use the citrine in therapy. And how it's used is that most of the time it's with the smaller pieces, not the big ones. You hold it against this part of you that's your solar plexus to meditate on. So citrine is considered, it's the same color as that particular chakra. So the body in Ayurvedic or in Vedic belief systems, we have all these energy systems that are around us spiraling all the time. And the solar plexus is that particular chakra. And it is for healing past trauma. So it absorbs all of the sadness and the grief that we're dealing with from a lot of childhood stuff often.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about the anxiety that people are experiencing today. And so citrine is a favorite of people that are in recovery from trauma, post-traumatic stress and trying to find ways to heal. And it's the one that most people are attracted to when they're doing that kind of work. So it is fascinating. Again, that thing weighs about 45 pounds.
Wow. So it makes sense that it's your sister's favorite with the work you do at the Transformation Project with healing trauma and going through that process.
Exactly. So we'll have these in our therapy rooms. We have small ones in our therapy rooms, and we'll switch them out because we have different stones that we use for different clients. And I don't really say anything to clients unless they ask, but I don't say anything. I just have them sitting on the table and they just look decorative. But if they ask, I'll explain why that particular crystal or stone is there. Most of the time, what I have is forms of obsidian because it absorbs grief. So that's a whole other thing. I don't have any specimen pieces of that. Most of those big pieces I've sold rather rapidly.
Yeah, no, they're beautiful. And it's funny because the older I get, the more open my mind becomes to things like this. I'm fascinated by these topics. If you were to ask me and talk to me about crystals 10, 15 years ago, I would just roll my eyes back in my head and say, I've used the word before, that's all woo-woo, right? But again, the more spiritual I get, the older I get, the more I realize what I don't know about this world, the more humbled I am, the more open I am to receiving all sorts of messages from all over the place. So when we talk about these topics, I just approach everything with a complete open mind. And I really am fascinated by crystals. I don't know a lot about them, but every time we talk about them, it just gives me a little bit more to marinate on, if you will. Shifting down the line, I see some other. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Please. No, I was just going to say, before I started to talk about these, I was at Nova University yesterday for an event. So all of the university students were walking by and they were all looking at the different crystals and they had questions about things. One of them said, "How do you know so much about crystals?" And I said, "I research it. I look at something I'm attracted to. I get on Google. There's a couple of apps that I use that are free apps, and it'll talk about the things, and I go with what resonates with me." So, with that and how people choose crystals, I'll talk about it in a moment. But to go back to the specimen pieces, I've got quite a few of these here. Let me see if I can even. I've got some there, and then they're elsewhere. It's this is actually another form of amethyst. This is called pink amethyst. So pink amethyst has also got many of the same properties that the traditional purple amethyst has.
Just a little bit lighter. Just a little bit lighter.
Well, they're a little bit lighter, but they have like a type of iron.
Okay.
That has created this mix of color. They were originally found in Patagonia, and they've since been found also in Brazil. But these are also connected to, just spiritual healing, just creating a healing space in your heart and your mind. I happen to like hearts, so even the rose quartz that's coming are all heart shaped, and the hearts truly are as strange as it sounds, at the heart of all the healing that we try to do here. So the amethyst, because of the iron that is infiltrated, it made it pink. So they call it pink amethyst. And I have a bunch of little pieces. I've got all kinds of stuff. So let me see. I can lift one. This one's not too heavy. It's only a few pounds.
It's like a little dumbbell. Yeah.
Yes.
Crystal bell.
And again, this is I'm always fascinated with how they knew to crack this open and, hey, let's crack this rock open and see what's in it. So, but again, all the stands are custom made for things when you see a crystal on a stand. So it's always fascinating, and then the citrine. I mean, there's pieces that are this big, and then there's pieces that are 40 pounds, 45 pounds. And again, you'll find in the store that I've got a lot of amethyst and citrine in heart shapes.
You got all the goodies over there.
I do. I really like heart. So it's it's fascinating to me what to do and what I bring in. And even with the pink amethyst, when you look at it, one of my favorite pieces is because it has pieces of the geode that you can see the green. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just different places that they found it, different things that crystals are mixed with. Most crystals aren't pure to one gem. The big ones are, because they're breaking these open and they're finding it in. But even within the amethyst, you'll find quartz. Amethyst is a type of quartz, but you'll find the clear quartz. And sometimes you'll find smoky quartz in with the citrine.
Now, do they find, I'm sorry to cut you. I got so excited. I was like, do they find these types of crystals? Is there different types of crystals specific to different parts of the world, or do they appear everywhere? Or is it where are they getting these? Like the ones behind you, are these coming from specific areas?
These all came from Brazil.
Brazil. Okay.
Brazil has a lot of mines. I've only been to one town in Brazil, Belo Horizonte. And I just learned from a Brazilian that that's in a specific state where all the mines are. I was like, oh, that's cool. I wish I would have known that when I was there. But many of the crystals come from Brazil because there's so many mines there. And I think that the land there is fertile for all of these caves and the way that they find these minerals. When you think about the Amazon, the rainforest is there. I mean, that's really like ground zero for earthy. So yes, I think that's where a lot of them come from. Some of them do come from the US. We have tourmaline. There's one that I just found. Let's see, I do have it.
Tourmaline.
This one.
Ooh,
Whether you can see this or not.
Apple-shaped.
Yeah, these are little apple shapes. I liked them, so I bought them.
Very cool.
So this crystal is actually found in Texas. It's found in other parts of the world as well, but it's found in Texas. And in Texas, they call it llanite, Llanite. And it's found in Mexico. It's found in Texas. And then other parts of the world where it's found, it's called que sera. Que sera, sera. So I really like the name of it. And it's a crystal that has 4 different crystals in it. So it's always different colors. And I have an orb. I have a collection of orbs. And I have a llanite. orb or a que sera orb, and it's mostly blue. So it's blue, black, and pink, and it all grows together. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
I like to find pieces like that.
You have some really cool stuff at your shop. And that's one of the things I love about your spot is it's like a house, right? It's very homey. It's just such a warm, inviting space. When you come into the store, you feel like you're walking into a friend's house, right? It's not like a storefront that you walk into and very cold. You have a very inviting atmosphere, and you're very engaged with folks that come in there. You really care about the people that come into the shop, and you try to learn about them, and you try to see what's going on in their life and see how you could really help them. So it's a very personalized approach. So you hear that, everyone out there? If you haven't been in to Hemp Del Sol in Davie, you got to check it out. She's doing some great things.
Thank you. I agree, because you could walk into the rock store down the street or the crystal store across the highway, and you're right, they're just storefronts. Mm-hmm. They may offer other services, like here we offer a lot of other services. Yet every single person that walks through the door, I do want to know, what brings you here? What is it you're looking for? And most of the time, people that walk in off the street are like, I don't know. And so I'll educate them on how to choose a crystal and what to look for and what is it that's going on in their life emotionally. Think about the person. A lot of times people want to come in to get a gift for someone. Think about that person before you start looking at stones. And you're right. The personalized approach, we could be just a regular storefront, but it's not who we are. We've been here as family therapists looking at ways to make people more comfortable when they walk through the door, simply because dealing with your issues is really challenging. Very few people really want to volunteer to do this. They usually start therapy because there's a crisis.
Yeah.
And yet what I'm finding is that many people walk through the door. They're not looking for therapy, although some people have actually engaged in therapy after they've come through the store, which is also very cool. Yet we're looking for just how do we make your life a little bit easier? So the inviting atmosphere out in our lobby area is meditation music, low lights, a fish tank, little things that are just around, and it's comfortable.
It's just
the couches,
very soothing, relaxing, friendly, welcoming environment.
Yeah, and that was my mom's idea initially 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I mean, she's been gone for 12, 13 years, 13 years now. But we've been physically here since 1991.
Yeah.
And so when she started and we would redecorate or things like that, she's like, we need to make it look like a living room. Mm-hmm. Something that somebody would want to come in and just sit and have a cup of tea. And I'll do that. When people walk in, I'll offer them a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, a drink from the cooler, a snack if they need it. Because sometimes they come in with kids. And we have kids that are on the spectrum that come through here sometimes. So the parents get very nervous. And what I tell them is that there's carpet here. The whole area is carpeted. So if they drop something, it's okay. And I think that that's what many parents worry about, is breaking something. Because in most stores, you break it, you buy it. Here, it's really hard to break.
So tell everybody that would like to come by and check out what you got going on there. How can they do that? What's your address? How can they reach you?
The easiest way to find me first is to text me. The number that's at the bottom of this page is my cell phone. Text me if you want to come by. We do accept walk-ins, but sometimes people have come in and they see, oh, your door's locked. What that means is that I don't have a salesperson here yet besides me, and I'm in session with someone doing therapy. Those people often will come back if I just explain to them what's happened. It happened on Tuesday when I was at the hospital with my daughter. She was like, oh, okay, no worries. So then I texted her and I said, my salesperson's there now. And they actually went back, and my saleswoman was so excited because she says, these two nice ladies came in and we were talking, and they actually bought a few crystals, so they were excited.
Oh, nice.
But I'm right on Davie Road for anybody that knows Broward County. I'm right on Davie Road, 4431 Davie Road. That's not the mailing address. The actual mailing address is 4431 Southwest 64th Avenue. We're in Suite 109. We actually are 107, 8, and 9, but we do the crystal store itself, the CBD and the crystal store is right here in 109, and that's the entrance. That's where you come in. You'll see a sign on the street. I'm working on creating a new logo and new signage and all kinds of things so that the store will stand out just a little bit more from the street. We're right between the Rodeo Ground entrance and Orange Drive for anybody that knows this area.
Yeah, anybody in this area knows right where that is.
And we're in the Peninsula building. Most people that I meet at events, they'll say, "Oh, I live in Davie. I didn't know you were there."
Yeah.
So that's why we're working on signage. The moving into the retail side of things was a little bit of a challenge. Trying to get things up and running, and advertising is a store. So anyway, but yeah, we're in the Peninsula building, Suite 109. There's plenty of parking. There's parking in front, parking in back. Our parking lot does not generally get flooded too bad with the heavy rains. The mayor here has done a lot to create better drainage, storm drainage. And so it's very cool. I live close to here as well. So there's sometimes people will call me and say, hey, I'm in the area. And I'm like, and if I'm not busy, I'll run over. It's not necessarily a problem. It's like, yeah, okay, it works. And and I still do events out in the city, out in the town, Fort Lauderdale. I've got events coming up. I'll be at the craft fair. Fingers crossed that I got my application in quick enough to be at the craft fair right behind us in the rodeo grounds.
Oh, yeah, you'll be there.
Being involved.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So go check out Hemp Del Sol, Crystals Del Sol. If you need any CBD products, if you want to go check out what she has at the shop, go see her. She's a great, wonderful woman doing great things in our community, and we're happy to have you here. Oh yes.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch everyone next time on the next episode of the Hemp Del Sol podcast. Everyone, take care. Have a lovely day.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Hemp Del Sol podcast. Explore our wide range of organic products at hempdelsol.com. That's HEMPDELSOUL.com, or contact 954-854-1039.